This bill will kill gun stores. This bill straight up will destroy gun stores in the state of California. What if I told you there was a bill that was being written in the state of California that's made it through assembly that would end every single gun shop as you know it? Well, that's a little bit of an exaggeration, but not too much, because in practice, this bill would set the framework to financially cripple any gun shop in the state of California, especially the small mom and pop shops, leaving us with potentially only the Big Fives and Sportsman's Warehouses of the world. And that's not a world that I want to live in. So let's talk about this bill today. So I want to say thank you to everyone in the Discord that was having this conversation with me about this bill. I want to say thank you specifically to Walt, who is one of my Patreon members, who has a channel of his own where he talks about certain things, which I will link to. We had a good conversation. If you want to join the Discord, the link will be down in the comments below. So this bill, Assembly Bill 2362 in the state of California. On paper, it might seem not that bad, because in theory, what this bill is a way for the DOJ to fine gun stores who are not obeying the law or potentially breaking the law, and it would allow them to have a system where they can fine them before they just outright revoke their license. And that seems fair, right? You know, you break the law, you get a fine, you get a slap on the wrist, and that doesn't seem that bad. But we need to look into what this actually does and what it lays the framework for, and why we cannot support this, why I need you to write your legislators and say, please do not support this bill. So here it is, AB 2362. So it says, under existing law, a firearms dealer or licensee means a person who has a valid firearms license, has a regulatory or business license, has a valid seller's permit issued by the State Board of Equalization, has a certificate of eligibility issued by the Department of Justice, and has a license granted by a duly constituted licensing authority of any city, county, or city and county, and is among those recorded in the centralized list of licensed firearms dealers kept by the Department of Justice. Existing law regulates licensed dealers and provides that a license is subject to forfeiture for a breach of specified prohibitions in existing law. So basically it's saying that if you have any of these licenses as a gun store, if you find any sort of error, currently they can, if you're found in breach of it, reject your license and take it from you. This would basically shut down the gun store. They couldn't sell any more guns. They couldn't have those guns anymore. And that's a big deal. What it changes it to, this bill, commencing July 1st, 2022, would authorize the Department of Justice to impose a civil fine not exceeding $1,000 for a violation of those prohibitions, and a civil fine not exceeding $3,000 for a violation of those prohibitions when the licensee has received written notification from the department regarding the violation and fails to take corrective action as specified, or the department determines the licensee committed violation with knowingly or gross negligence. This bill would authorize the department to adopt regulations to carry out these provisions. So we notice something specifically where it says it goes from a breach to a violation. And now that's typically going to mean that, now in my mind what that means is that it's going to be a lower barrier to entry. We're going to have to see as far as what the DOJ actually provides for these provisions for how to actually enforce these laws. But let's talk for a second about a specific scenario that would actually unfold that could cripple any gun store. Now, some background. I worked in a gun shop for a couple years, and during that time I learned that the Department of Justice had only visited the gun shop once prior to my arrival there, and that was within the first year of them opening up. The gun shop was in business for approximately 9 years before it shut down. During the 3 years that I worked there, they had the second audit out of 9 years, the second DOJ audit. And when they did that audit, they reviewed everything up until that point. The issue comes in here. During this audit, they could find a very large number of very small, almost inconsequential violations for things as simple as, hey, these people are they're doing their signature wrong, or they're taking up extra space because they're going outside of these lines. That's a violation. You need to clean up your paperwork. You actually put a signature here when this is supposed to be an initial on the safe affidavits. And it's something very simple. Second Amendment Zone, a place down in Southern California, reached out to me and said that they had, in their first year, 19 violations. That seems like a lot, right? Well, that's because for the safe affidavits, they were actually filling out the form with an initial, or they were filling out the form with a signature instead of an initial on 12 different spots. So people were filling out the form saying that they have a safe, saying the information, the make, model, and whatnot, and they were signing instead of initialing on a certain box. And that was 12 violations. So 12 violations, that seems like a lot, but it's really something small that doesn't matter. Each one of those violations under the law as it exists now could have been $1,000. $12,000 just because people were signing instead of initialing on a form. That's ridiculous. And now we know the California Department of Justice is not gun friendly. So the problem comes in is they're going to be able to write laws in ways that are crippling to any gun store. And if the DOJ wants to shut you down for whatever reason, all they need to do is go to your gun store and look around. There are so many small things that don't truly affect crime in any way, but because your signs are of a font that's one size too small, or because your sign might have a harder to view angle because you have a small shop, and in order to display the, I think, 9 signs that you need to have as far as the legalities of gun laws at various locations throughout the shop, if they determine that those are not clearly visible enough, you can get a violation. It's very simple. Another ridiculous example would be with every gun sold in the state of California, you have to include a gun lock or perform a safe affidavit for long guns. But so let's say you're selling handguns and you have a lock that you believe is a California approved locking device. It has all the right markings, it's made of the right materials, but this one is, for example, model GL1005 instead of GL1004. Now, GL1104 might be on the list of approved locking devices. GL1105 might not. And even though they're functionally identical, it's just a matter of model names. Because you've been selling that lock that is technically not on the approved list of locking devices, each time that you sold that could be a violation. All they have to do is go through your receipts, find that you sold the wrong lock, boom, $1,000. This is something that is so easy to crush any gun shop. I really don't know how to reiterate this better for you guys, because this would allow any DOJ agent to shut down any gun store at any point in time. Small gun shops do not have the liquid cash that would be required in order to pay these fines, in addition to the fact that the DOJ can determine whether or not it was gross negligence. The DOJ is the one that's going to be enforcing the law, writing the documents as far as how to enforce the law and what defines gross negligence, and they're going to be the ones setting up the appeals process. There's no legal court for this. This would simply be the DOJ saying, hey, we interpret the law this way, we see that you're breaking the law this way, we now are going to have you appeal, but we're not going to listen to you. They could easily shut down any gun shop simply by going in and looking around and finding that, hey, you know, that gun shop, they were filling out this form wrong. It wasn't really wrong, but they were going outside the lines. They were using a pen instead of a pencil, or using a pencil instead of a pen, or using red ink instead of blue ink. The DOJ is very specific, and the ATF is very specific how every single thing is filled out. And you can so easily get any little thing wrong, and they can nail you. This is dangerous. I know it seems like we're complaining about people not following the law and getting punished for it, but it's not about what the law is. It's about what the law is supposed to do. These laws are meant to be written in a way to prevent crime or to have compliance and document things. But when they enforce them the way that we know the DOJ does, that's scary. And that's not something that we can stand for. Please reach out to your various congresspersons, your congress critters, your state assembly, and your state congress. Feinstein is not the one to email about this. You need to go online, figure out who your actual state reps and your state assembly members are, and write them, because this bill will kill gun stores. This bill straight up will destroy gun stores in the state of California. If you have any questions, drop a comment down below. If you have anything that you want to add, if I was wrong in any way, if I was right in any way, and you did not know that, let me know down below. As always, have fun, be safe, stay dangerous. Peace. So I'm a photographer on the side, and I do weddings sometimes, and I wanted to find a way to have a dual belt setup, and this was just really cool because it's using a G-Code tactical gun belt with the padded inner side, and Capture Clips V3 from Peak Design, which is really cool because it allows me to have 2 setups on either side, and it's quick detach so that I can have one of my hands set that down, boom, start shooting with the other one, and I don't need to dangle around with 2 different straps. And because this belt is designed to comfortably allow you to carry several pounds worth of gun equipment, I figured, hey, that'll probably work with that setup. And it did. It was super comfortable all day, and I just needed to share that with you guys.
And it's funny because all this comes down to a shift in the burden of proof, and it's a really stealthy, sneaky attempt that is just kind of bungled and fails to do so. After all, you're asserting that my rights should be taken away. That's a positive claim. So if you're using this argument, you need to prove that I don't have a right to a firearm. You're trying to get gun owners to justify their purchasing decisions, their lifestyle, and their hobbies to you. You are not owed that justification from anyone for any hobby. If you believe that something is detrimental, or if you believe something is harmful or hurting others' rights or causing direct harm to others, the burden of proof is on you to prove that harm. You don't get to shift it to me and say that I don't get to own things because you don't like them or because you don't think that I need them. Get it? Stealthy, but I'm on to you.